Okay, our next speakers are going to talk about the area of treatment and recovery. And let me introduce them. First, Melissa Sequeira, is the manager of Legion's Substance Use Disorder Programs and Employee Assistance Program. She graduated from Adrian College with a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology and Michigan State University with a Master's in Social Work. She's been a clinician for the last 21 years, working with the substance use disorder population and specializing in working with individuals struggling to recover from both mental illness and chemical dependency for the last 16 years at Allegiance Health. Shannon Jackson of the Home of New Vision. She's the program manager for the Home of New Vision's Jackson Recovery Resource Center. She is a person in long-term recovery from substance use disorder. She has not used alcohol or other drugs in over 8 years. Shannon has a Bachelor's of Social Work from Spring Arbor University and will be attending SAU in the fall for her Master's. She has been a CCAR certified recovery coach for Jackson County's Felony Recovery Court, as well as a member of the recovery team. Shannon began working on Jackson's first recovery community organization called Jackson Area Recovery Committee and remains a board member and secretary. She has also become a member of Jackson County Substance Abuse Prevention Coalition. Shannon has joined the 23 Million Miracles in Recovery to speak out and spread hope to the individuals still suffering an addiction. She encourages everyone to support recovery. It will save lives, families, and communities. Melissa Sequeira and Shannon Jackson.
I'm actually going to take this off because you won't be able to see me if I stand behind this. You barely will probably able to. I didn't wear heels today. And normally I would introduce myself and give my background. I'm really glad that he did that. I feel very honored to be here today. One of the things that was not in my bio is that I also am a person in long-term recovery. I have been blessed day in and day out to not drink and not drug. And as I was listening to Chris talk, and I get emotional, I brought Kleenex up here just in case my nose starts running, or because I'm addicted to people like Chris now. I am addicted to the before and after of people who suffer with substance use disorders, and they become better than well. They become all of who they can be, and it's phenomenal, and it's such a blessing to see him. I'm just like so proud. And one of the things is that just like with addiction to drugs, we can fall back and whatnot, and I see people fall back. In this line of work, we can look at these big numbers. Like, matter of fact, I won't talk about any numbers because that macro picture is overwhelming to me. I have to come in every day and do what I do, and I'm very micro because I get to see the changes. I don't get to see it all the time. I don't know how many people, I call it like random reinforcement. Like, that's the biggest draw is, like with gambling, random reinforcement means like if you got money every time you played, you wouldn't have that pull. It's the failure, and you never know when that next one's going to be a success. As far as people go in recovery, and that's what keeps me going is it doesn't matter how many times things fall back. I see the success, and I believe in the success. So I could listen to Dr. Waller all day. Like, I took notes, and I want to know about the video and how we're going to get our hands on the video so that I can show my staff. I currently have a new position. I was a clinician for many, many years, and then a manager of the outpatient program. And now I am the manager of our detox in residential and higher levels of care as well at Allegiance Health. And one of the things I was going to announce is that we in 2016 will be, for the first time ever, co-locating. So our outpatient program is now going to be at our inpatient facility. And that is really exciting. It's going to be bumpy, but it's really exciting to have my staff all under one roof. And it's going to make transitions and handoffs and reduce redundancy and just amazing people with resources coming together. And, as I listen to Dr. Waller, I think I really want my team to hear. I'd love to have our director here. We are transforming, and he speaks my language, but, we're slow. We're slow. We kind of we're turtles, and for us, sometimes people are like that. Medication-assisted treatment, no, because we've seen people misuse it or abuse it. We can use medications in a therapeutic way, or we can use them more in an addictive way. We can use it to enhance our recovery. We can use it to sabotage our recovery. It's really about education, monitoring, people making good choices. And I really liked what he was saying too about harm reduction and for the behaviors. Why, when somebody suffers with a disorder and then they present with those symptoms of that disorder, we say, you can't come here. It is illogical, and we still have some work on that. So anyway, I'm going to try and go through it. Last year I went over, so I'm going to really try and stay. So mine is very, very basic as far as treatment goes, because treatment and recovery resources in the community, they dovetail perfectly. The things that we formally do interventions on and attempt to work on and develop, when we can engage people in aftercare and in the community of recovering individuals, that reinforces that brain healing. So they're not different. They're one and the same. And I'm starting to learn more about prevention too. I'm excited about the impact that prevention can make on substance use disorders. So treatment is formal interventions that are facilitated by specifically trained and licensed clinicians. Not all of them are recovering like I am, but that doesn't mean that they aren't extremely helpful and help people to recover day in and day out. They're all certified addiction counselors. They require to have additional CEUs. They're all licensed professionals. All my staff are master's level trained, and they have continuing supervision. It's really important that we have well-educated team. So there's different levels of care, different interventions. We can have prevention that is for people who don't have a substance use disorder diagnosis yet, but they have a lot of risk factors that would suggest that they're predisposed. They're starting to have some of those indicators. We can actually help youth. Unfortunately, insurances are not as on board as I would like them to be, and so those services are self-pay at this time. But then there's traditional outpatient levels of care where it's that 1 or 2 times a week. And then we have more intensive outpatient programs. And we try to do the least restrictive level of care to see what we can make an impact on, and then bump people up in levels of intensity when needed, and then titrate them down in levels of intensity. So we have intensive outpatient programs. I think that's the one that Chris was talking about, that he ended up being there for 2 years. And partial day, where they're there almost like it's their job. They come in at 8, they leave at 5, they go home, they come back, and we do that so many days in a row, and then a couple days break. We have short-term and long-term residential programs. Short-term is what Allegiance Addiction Recovery Center is. The maximum somebody generally would stay there is like 14 days at this point in time. But there's other places that do 30 days, 45 days, 60, 90. Some of them are year-long programs, which is awesome. And then clinically and medically managed detoxification. I think that that's an important piece, is when people are coming off of substances, they physically are unwell. And for us to not take that into consideration in how we're going to attack this problem, I think that's neglectful. So we really work at individualized treatment planning. And I know people in the industry say this, but we really need to evaluate that client's strengths and that client's needs. So if somebody has chronic pain, They have legitimate chronic pain. We have to look at risk factors. If we don't address that at all, there's a high likelihood that they're going to go and use a substance, whether it's prescribed or not prescribed, maybe in an abusive manner, to try and treat that pain. So we really need to figure out strategies. Abstinence-only models, as he was saying, are not effective. So we really need to be mindful, though, of risk factors. There are substances that are less risky. I think about like sleep disturbances. Many of the people that I will see who have mental health, I put down dual disorders. So people who have mental health diagnosis, anxiety or depression, and they also have a substance use disorder diagnosis. But they will have sleep disturbances. That's one of the first indicators that somebody's psychiatric is becoming unstable. Well, there are higher risk sleep medications, and then there's low risk sleep medications. Like Rosarum, I believe, has like virtually no risk potential for abuse. So we need to evaluate those things and not just say pills are bad. And medication-assisted treatment, which Dr. Weller talked about, and I know that we're here to talk about opiate specific, but my patients, they're not picky. So it'll be alcohol, and they have a medical marijuana permit to cover their addiction, and then they also take opiates, and they also might play around with cocaine. So we really want to kind of wrap our arms around, Antabuse, or naltrexone, Rivia, for reducing cravings for people who are addicted to alcohol. I guess just really need to be open-minded about those strategies. And one of the things that I feel like we're moving in the direction with treatment is that we believe that any stage of change we can make a difference. To intervene when people believe they don't have a problem is okay and is important. They do not have to hit bottom. No, that's part of our strategic interventions to help them get potentially to the next stage of change. And if you guys want to ask more questions about stages of change later on, you can. I don't want to go into the whole thing, but we also believe that any motivator is a good motivator to utilize. If that is a negative consequence from the court, if that is a drug screen result that's positive that I sent to your probation officer, if that is your mom that brings you in. I mean, yesterday I had just an opportunity of somebody bringing in their 22-year-old son, and I don't want to get all teared up, but just said, we need help. That is a motivator. She was a huge motivator for him, and he's getting in today. So that doesn't always happen, but it did yesterday. And we're going to use any strategies we can to help people get to that next stage of change. One of the things we know is that to heal and retrain the brain, we really need to target internal resources, development of internal resources. That's what we do in treatment programs. So we're going to give them education. We're going to do psychosocial, educational interventions. We're going to help them increase awareness and insight. We do these through like motivational enhancement strategies, asking the right question, not telling them, but putting it to them so that they start to evaluate things for themselves. If I told people stuff and they did it, I would have a short day. That's not the reality. It has to come internally. All of us have problems, and we don't make changes just because, somebody told us we had a problem. That's not how it works. We help with developing coping skills, cognitive behavioral therapies a lot, cognitive reframing. Communication skills, mindfulness, teaching your brain how to rest, how to ground that is really important. I can't remember, I think it was Martin Sheen in one of the videos I saw, he said addicts are seeking a spiritual experience. They are all seeking a spiritual experience. They're just seeking it in a chemical way. So you can train your brain to have your body feel different, but you don't know that. How do you know that? Relaxation techniques and whatnot. Teach them about basic problem solving, basic self-care. It's really important. And then connecting with external things. One of the things that last year, no, it was this year, the beginning of this year, there was an article that people sent to me because it was in the Huffington Post. I think the guy was Johan Hari. And he said, what we've known about addiction, it's all false. And I didn't really agree with that. But one of the things that he really stressed was the environment. And if mice can have a choice of water that has drugs in it and water that doesn't have drugs, but they have the option to have a wonderful mouse life. They have a cage that gives them all like the social and activities to do. They will not use the drugs. That's true. That's not something that's new. We know that. We have to give people, help them connect and have those external resources so they have things to lose. If you have a job, that's a motivator. If you have, you're in school, that's a motivator. You're making money, that's a motivator. So it's very important that we do a lot of case management and develop those family and clean and sober supports where it's about developing a new identity. Who am I if I'm clean and sober? I don't know. But I see you do it, and then I start to see myself do it, and then you interact with me, and gosh, it feels odd, but maybe I'm more this person than I was that person. I need to start believing in myself. And I see that through other people's successes and other people believing in me. One of the things we really talk about is that recovery is really about balance. One of the things is when we're in addiction, we have no balance. No life structure, everything is extreme. And I really want to tell the people who are attempting recovery here or whatnot is, you will never achieve this. If you achieve perfect life balance, it will be momentary. We are imperfect people. It is about trying. And then once we hit it and then we get off, then we're like, oh, then we try to get back on. That's what recovery is. It's about realizing, ooh, I wasn't doing some self-care. I missed exercising this week. I didn't go to a meeting. I skipped a doctor's appointment. And then I have other people that say, you're worth it. I see that you're getting a little out of whack. And then you try to get back on track. So one of the things is we are perfectly imperfect is what I believe. And recovery is about being okay with that without drugs and alcohol. So that's all I've got. It was fast. Oh, whoops. I had one more. Never mind. Well, here, can I do it real quick? Yeah. I'm sorry. I forgot I had one more. I just wanted to, okay. One of the things I put on here was how you can help. Okay, and this is the same thing I said last year, but I just want to say this is how you can help. Educate yourself. There are tons of excellent websites. I'm going to bring out a sheet. I'll put some of the stuff up here. There wasn't enough room on the table. But and be an advocate against stigma and shame. I don't have horns on my head. I'm an addict. Wow. And I'm doing wonderful things. Allow addicts to experience the natural consequences of their choices. They need to have those consequences. You may think you're helping by hiding it. No, they need that pain. That's a motivator. Reduce access to drugs. We talk about this over and over again. Demonstrate your support by not using chemicals, by making healthy life choices that are hard for you. Show them you're going to walk the walk too. It's not easy exercising every day or making the healthy choice with food. Appreciate what they're trying to do. Be knowledgeable about and use your community resources. And the biggest thing is believe. They have to believe in themselves, and they're going to get that from you, so you believe in them. Because it happens. I'm not just saying that. It happens, and we need to believe it. So, okay. No, sorry.
Okay. I never needed that transition anyway. Oh, thank you. Good morning. My name is Shannon. I'm a person in long-term recovery from substance use disorder. What that means for me is I I haven't used alcohol or other drugs in over 8 years. Thank you. I am so passionate about recovery today. My recovery has given me hope for my future. I get emotional too. My recovery has given me the opportunity to go back to school, earn a bachelor's degree, and become a professional in the field of social work, my passion. Give me a minute. I am currently the program manager at Home of New Vision. More importantly, this is the part I was waiting for. My recovery has given me the opportunity to become a good mom to my 3 kids that have lived through my active addiction. They too have become successful in their very young lives still. So proud, my oldest is actually a 4.0 student, pre-med at Michigan State University. I've become a wife, a homeowner, a taxpayer, and an informed voter. I share these things with you today in hopes that I can challenge some of the stigma that is attached to substance use disorder. These are a few that I'm going to try to catch up time, and I can do this. I'm very happy I can do this. These are a few of the topics that I'm going to go over today. I got my passion to speak up about my recovery from one movie. It made me go from being anonymous, which is something I cherish, it saved my life, to somebody that will stand up and speak up for the person that still is in their active addiction, hold my hand out and love them and show them that there is hope for them.
Whether we want to admit this or not, this is our Black Plague.
There's 25 million people that suffer from this illness.
We have an epidemic.
It's a national crisis that untreated addiction cost our economy over $550 billion last year.
It is disgraceful that we have done so little about it thus far.
Once you're an addict, you're that thing that they have to hide.
So many people think of addicts as homeless people living under bridges.
The media is difficult for us to battle against because the negative news about addiction is dramatic.
You know what we in the media do? We wink it. We Snoop Dogg it. Hey, oh yeah, they're stoned, that's fine.
If everyone thinks of alcoholism and addiction as a negative thing, no one's going to want to go get help.
As a culture, we are still very rooted in just say no.
Drugs are menacing our society.
We were going to try to incarcerate our way out of the addiction problem.
Our jails are full of addicts and alcoholics. They're all pulled up in one spot.
When you're caught, you will do time.
Recovery is what you need, not prison. Hello?
Alcoholism has too long been a taboo subject.
The shame and secrecy are just as deadly as the disease itself.
Our numbers are unbelievably strong, but yet we have no voice.
We know about every issue out there, but people don't know how important the issue of recovery is.
As a person in long-term recovery from an illness that has no cure, but an illness that has a solution.
If we could ever tap those 20 million people in long-term recovery, you change this overnight.
Now it's my turn to teach you that recovery works.
History's on our side. History will show one day who and what we are. So I say we make history.
Voices are out there. We have to find and open the hearts. And I think those hearts want to be open.
I refuse to feel ashamed of who I am. I most certainly will not be embarrassed that I'm an addict. I'm going to tell whoever I damn well want to.
There's a lot of us. Everyone knows somebody.
So, this has become a national movement. It's already happening. And to be honest with you, sitting here today, Jackson's further than where I thought it was at. I was told when I first wanted to make a difference in our community that Jackson is stubborn, that nobody is going to listen to you. Well, I have found different. Everybody wants to help. Everybody is affected. Like Mike said, it doesn't matter where you're at in the community. It doesn't matter what your income level is, what school you go to. It is everywhere. And everybody wants to play a part in the solution. This past October, the nation decided to rally on our nation's capital, the National Mall. 40,000 people showed up to support recovery. Jackson was there. Would you like to stand, the people that were able to go to Washington, D.C.? I see Ann Arbor was also there. We met to raise awareness, to show that we're there. We do succeed in life. We're professionals, and we want to make a difference on a national level. I can see already that Jackson is here. We're going to change from a culture of addiction to a culture of recovery. We can do this by sharing hope, as Melissa said. Reassure us that it's okay to come back multiple times for treatment. We don't know when the miracle is going to happen. Please don't guilt us or shame us for asking for help over and over again. And reduce the stigma. There are two things I want you to walk away with today, if nothing else. That stigma has to end to save lives, and that we do recover. Home of New Vision offers multiple levels that you can become involved, or anyone that would like help finding their pathway to their recovery. We have peers in the room scattered about. If my peers could please stand. They have Recovery Happens t-shirts on, and those that don't. We also have trained recovery coaches that are all over in this room that don't necessarily have a Recovery Happens t-shirt on. Could you also please stand if you're willing to help any fellow today? Thank you. We also offer case management, and Christian and Paulette are here today. These ladies help remove any barriers so that you can work on your recovery. Home of New Vision has multiple events for families because our families are in recovery. Sober events every week, Friday nights from 9 to 11. We have snacks, games, gatherings. Sometimes we'll have bonfires. Kermit, thank you. Oops, sorry. We also have multiple meetings that we have throughout the week. If you're interested, please look us up on the Home of New Vision website. We also have a new committee. This is its own independent committee called Jackson Area Recovery Committee. This is new, and it is made up of people with lived experience, our allies, anybody that is willing to stand up and be the face, to face addiction, to challenge those policymakers and advocate for our rights in recovery. That's all I have. Thank you so much. Oh, thank Thank you. Can I just say one more thing, please? The Jackson Area Recovery Committee welcomes everyone in this room, please. We won't all fit in Home of New Vision. But every Wednesday at 3:30, if you want to play a part in this, please join us. That's all. I'm done, for real. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Melissa or Shannon? Yes, Zoe, in the back. Let me, hold on. Nope, we don't need you to yell. We've got technology here.
Good morning. Thank you for your presentation. I have a number of my staff who are here who are home visitors, foster care, children's protective services, and I'm sure that there are a number of other home visitors here as well. I just wondered if you could suggest the best way when we are out doing home calls and interacting with families, addicts, people recovering, people who are not yet there, questions that we can ask or things that we can say to be best supportive of the people that we're working with.
Well, I guess one of the main things is to be non-threatening and to be as comfortable as you can. Approach it, kind of talk about the reality, maybe be inquisitive. I mean, truly interested in their lives, or maybe the role that substance is playing in their life and how they're viewing it. Or, you know, and just let them know that you do know about places that are wonderful. Talk us up. You know, the word of mouth is the best, and that, you know, just check it out. You don't even have to be ready to even make a change. You know, just give them a call, someone to talk to about it, and then maybe you'll see if it's something you want to do, and then maybe not. That's all right. No harm done. So really non-threatening, but do talk about it. You guys are important. You see it. You see it right at the front end. So you have the ability to make a difference just by planting seeds.
Anything else? Yes, Chris.
I can vouch for all of Allegiance's rehab facilities, Allegiance Substance Abuse Services, the Recovery Center, the doctors that work there. I first tried to get clean and go to rehab when I was 22 years old, and so that was, what, 5 years ago, and I went to rehab 4 times, always at Allegiance. One other time was at a facility that wasn't Allegiance, and I actually left that place and came back to Allegiance because I wasn't treated the right way. But I've never had anything negative happen at any Allegiance rehab facility. They're all great. They welcome everybody, and I would highly recommend it. Thanks.
Any other questions? Melissa and Shannon are going to be available at the panel question and answer session later today, so I invite you to write those questions down on the note cards. But thank you. Thank you very much.